Okay, good day, guys. This is Mrs. Tolan. So we are looking at maths literacy, introduction to maths literacy. Okay, so there are certain things that you need to take note of and to take them serious in maths literacy, because maths literacy are dealing with the real situations that are actually happening in your everyday life. Now, the first thing that you need to know is that in your answers you must always include units. So the units matters very well. So you must always include units in your answers, especially answers. So you must include units in your answers. What do we mean by this? If it is maybe you are measuring mass, you must indicate, is it kg? Is it what, grams? So if in terms of mass, you understand? If it is speed, is it kilometers per hour or is it meters per second? So these are things that you must always remember. If you are calculating number of people, you must tell us that 17 people. If you are calculating number of, number of cars, 17 cars. So you need to include the unit always. Don't forget to put the unit in your answers, because if you just write 10, we don't know, is it $10 or what? Now, in terms of currency, you must indicate, is it dollar, is it rands, is it pound? So we need also to know that. So that's why we are saying you must always include your unit. Okay, because if it in terms of currency, if you just write 10, you don't have to assume that it's 10 rand or it's 10 pound or it's $10. Okay, because we've got different currencies that we can actually that we can use. Now, you must also work with one unit. We work with one unit. Let's say when you're doing measurements, let's say you're given, let's say, a triangle, not a triangle, sorry, a rectangle like this, then they are telling you that maybe here it's 120 millimeters, 120 millimeters. Then here it's actually maybe let's say 20 centimeters, 20 centimeters. Now you need to calculate the area, and you must know that area, do they want the area in millimeter squared, or do they want it in centimeters? So you must, let's say they say it must be in centimeter squared. That's your area. So what you need to do first, you need to change 120 millimeters to centimeters. So you know that 1 centimeter is equal to your 10 millimeters. So if it is now 120 millimeters, it means that you need to cross multiply. You need to cross multiply. So we have our x there. When we cross multiply, so it means that it's going to be 10x is equals to 120. Then x is going to be equals to 120 divided by 10, which will get 10 centimeters. So in this way, we are saying it will be a rectangle with the 10 centimeter, sorry, 12 centimeter, sorry, just made a mistake there. It's supposed to be 12 centimeter. So it's supposed to be 12 centimeter times what? Your 20 centimeter. So your length now, your area, you know that is going to be length times width, which is going to be equal to 20 times 12. Then you get your answer. Okay, so those are the things that you must take note. So you need to be able to work with one unit, even if it's in terms of currency, make sure that you're using one currency. Okay, so you need to work with your conversion first. Now, remember also, when you're doing when you are at your final answer now, you need to round off your answer. Now, how do you round off your answer? Depend on the data as well. So we are saying we have what called discrete data. These are in terms of numerical data. Discrete data, we are saying this data can be counted. These data can be counted, and they only exist as whole numbers. They only exist as whole numbers. For example, population, number of people. Or what? Animals. You can't say we have got 2.56 people or 2.57 cats, or I don't know what it can be. It can be cows or something like that. These are something that exists only as whole numbers. Like, for example, a number of houses, and also all cars. Even if there is a Lamborghini and a Mazda 323, an old one, a car, maybe a car from 1976, is still a car. If they are parked in a garage, we say there are two cars in the garage. So you don't need to say because this one is more expensive and this one is less expensive, then we say it's gonna be not considered as a whole. So now let's move on to another thing that you can also have: continuous data. Continuous data, now this data can be measured, and the data can exist as a whole number, fraction, or decimals, and this include mass. That's why you can have 2 kg, we can have 2,5, we can have 12,5 of what is it, of millimole mass. So, or also height. So these are the things that don't exist what you call as there's a continuous data, and we can round off what you are supposed to round off your answer, round off. This is the standard, round off to 2 decimal places. If it's not specified, you must always round off to 2 decimal places. Okay, so you must leave 2 numbers after the comma. For example, it should be 12,5. If it's 12,5, you say 12,50 kg, like that, so that we can have 2 numbers after the comma, which we call decimal places. Now, let's move on to the next one. Read carefully and understand and mark keywords. So this is an important thing. Again, you need to read carefully your answers, your questions, understand first, then mark keywords. So you don't just have to attempt to question without knowing what the next step. Okay, so you must first figure out what should be my next step from here now. Okay, so that's the first slide. Now let's move on to the second slide. Second slide, you're looking at what you call a BODMAS. So this is how you're going to work with when you're dealing with what you call problems. And when you're dealing with problems, you must know that you use BODMAS, and your BODMAS is actually showing us how you're supposed to solve maybe an expression or an equation. Now, you must first remove what you call brackets. So you deal with the bracket first, then off. Now, this off is your multiplication, is times. It's multiplication, okay? Brackets, you remove brackets. Then here what we have here, BODMAS is a division. So it's division. That's what we have, followed by division, and this is multiplication again, but we don't need to worry about this one because it's already actually we already talk about it. So multiplication we already talk about. So this is a multiplication. Then here we are adding. We need to add after that. Then lastly, that's where we subtract. So you must always understand this this order. Now, for example, here we're given this problem here. What we should be focusing on first is to remove the bracket. But inside the bracket, we see that we need to multiply first. So what do we need to do now? It's going to be 4 times 5. I don't have much space here. Now, we need to say in our bracket 2 plus, now we need to multiply first. 6 times 4 is going to give us 24. Minus 2. Okay, then from there we need to add and find what is in the bracket. Now when we have that, we have got 4 times 5 plus, what do we get there is 24 times 2 plus 2, sorry, is 26 minus 2. Then from there we multiply 4 times 5. What do we get? We get 20 plus 26 minus 2. Then from there, what do we get? 20 plus 26, we get 46. It's going to be 46 minus 2. Then we'll get 44. That should be our answer there. So you can see how we are supposed to, what we're supposed to do. You deal with the brackets first. You go on to multiplication. From multiplication, you can go, depending on if the division is there, you can move on to division and also to addition and subtraction. Now, if you punch this in your calculator as well, your calculator, you've got BODMAS already. So you don't need to stress. If you have to punch an expression in a calculator, you don't need to stress much because you just say, if we say 4 times 5, this one has got BODMAS on its own. So we say 2 plus 4 times 6, then we have got minus 2, we get answer 44. So this one, I've got board mass already, you calculate. Okay, so here let's move on to the next one. He's saying half times 100 minus 40 plus 30 divided by 3. So what we're going to deal with here, we're going to deal with multiplication first. So half of is 50, then minus 40, but we've got 30 divided by 3. Then 30 divided by 3, that's your second step. 30 divided by 3 is going to give us 10. So it's going to be 10 minus 40 minus 50 here. Then what we have here is that what do we need to do? We need to add first. We need to add. So 40 plus 10, we get 50 minus, we get 50. 50 minus 50 is equal to 0. That's what we have. Can we see what we're supposed to do here? We need to follow up follow those steps. Okay. Now let's move on to what we call exponents. So what we say what we call exponents, these are in the form of a to the power of b, and we say this one is our actually what you call the base, and this one is an exponent or power. So we say a to the power of b. So this actually shows how many times you are multiplying that the base. How many times you are multiplying the base? Meaning to say here, it means that 3 to the power 2, it means that 3 times 3. How many are you repeating it? So it's going to give you us 9. Then 4 to the power 3 is it's just like 4 times 4 times 4. It's a short way of actually presenting this. So you are multiplying the same number what all over and over again. So we're going to say, okay, what is 4 times 4 times 4? We get 64. Then we move on. 6 to the power 4 is 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. And what do we get there? We don't know the answer there. 6 to the power of, when you're punching your calculator, you punch this. Where there's x here, you punch the power of, then you punch 4, then you get 1,296. Then 1,296. That's your answer there. Okay. Then also root 49. Root 49 is a reverse of what we're doing here. Root of 49, we have got root. This is our root here. This is where you find your root. Root of 49, you get 7. So this actually shows you that this is 7. If we say 7 squared, it gives you 49. So 7 squared, like here, root of 9 should give us 3. That's what we are saying there. Root of 9 should give us 3. Okay. Now root of 64. So this is how you punch it. Root 64, you get 8. So our answer should be equal to 8. Then root, when you're having something like this, you can say now it's the root of 16. Root of 16 is equal to 4. So it's gonna be 4. 9 squared. 9 squared is what? 9 squared is 81. 81 minus 2 to the power 3, it should be 8 there. So you now know what you're supposed to do there. Now here, what you need to do, you need to add first and subtract. So 81 plus 4, we get 85 minus 8. Then 85 minus 8, we get 77. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay. Now let's move on to rounding off. When you're saying rounding off, what you call rounding off here, when you're rounding off, we round off to the nearest whole number. When we say whole number, we don't need a comma here. We want only one digit. So we want it to exist as a whole number. Okay. So we don't want any comma in that case. So when you're saying round off to the nearest whole number. So we want to get rid of the comma here. So what do we do? When you want to get rid of the comma, we look at the next number just after the comma, first number after the comma. If it is below 5, if it is below 5, it doesn't change 3. It doesn't change the number here. If it is below 5, it doesn't change the number here in front of it. But if it is 5 and above, it will change this number to a 4. So this, our value there will be equal to 3. It won't change. So here, when we say 16,54, here we look at the number after the comma because we want it whole number here. So we check that, you see that it's 5 and above. So when it's 5 and above, what do we need to do? We need to add 1/10 here. So it's gonna be, when you add 1 here, it's gonna be 17. Then when we move on to the next one, 1,92, 192,228, we look again at the number after the comma, is 2 and is below 5, does it change the number? Here it doesn't change, it's going to be remain 192. Then you move on again, 9,7. 9,7, what does it do? Is above 5. We look at 7, it's above 5, and we add 1 there, it's going to be equal to 10. Then 4,36, we look again at the number after the comma when it's one round of the whole number. Then we check there, it doesn't change, because it's below 5. Then we say what? It's going to be equal to, it's going to be equal to 4. Then when you go here, again, we check number after the comma. We see that is below 5. So it's going to remain 703 like that. So these are our answers now. Okay. Now let's move on to rounding off to the nearest 1 decimal place. So we now say, okay, we are done with the whole number. What about now when you're saying to the 1 decimal place? What do we mean? We mean to say we only want one number after the comma. So when we want one number after the comma, we look at the number next to it. Again, number next to it is below 5. What do we need to do? We don't need to worry about 1. What do we need to do now? It's going to remain like that. So it's going to be 3,4. That's what we mean when we say 1 decimal place. Then we move on to the next one. We look again and say, all right, we want 2 numbers after the comma, which is we want one number after the comma, 1 decimal place. So we look here, we look at this number here because we want 1 number after the comma, and we see that it's above 5. So what must it do? It must change that number to 4. Must add 1 to 4. Then if we are given here, what we have here is that it's what? It's a 509,81. And when we're saying 81, we're going to say it's going to be equal to 509, we look again at the number after 8. This second number, what do we see here? We see that is below 5, is going to remain 8 here. 8 is not going to be changed. Then we move on to the next question here. What do we have? We need to change here. We say 662,95. We need 1 number after the comma, which is this number. So what must we do now? We must add 1 here, because 5 is above what? It's 5 and above. So we must add 1 to 9, then it's going to be 10. So once it becomes 10, it's going to, again, because we have got 10 here, we can't write 10 here. It means that 10, 1, we're adding 1 unit again here. So it's going to be 3 here. So it's going to be 6,623,0, because we want 1 decimal place. 1 decimal place. So that's why we are saying we're going to be leaving 0 there. That's what we need to have. Now, again, here, let's look at this one here and see what we're supposed to do. 9,98. We look again at 8 and say, all right, 8, does it have a change? Can it change 9? Yes, it can change 9. It was about 5. So we're going to say it's going to be 10. But when it becomes 10 here, 10, again, we can't write 10 out of the comma. We add 1 unit here. It's going to be 10 here again. When we add 1 here, it's going to be 10, 0. Why are we putting the 0? Because we must have 1 decimal place. 1 unit after 1 number, or 1 unit after the what? After the comma. Then this one here is 10,23. Again, we want 1 number after the comma. So we look at the next second number. We see that it's below 5. So we're going to be 10,2. It remains like that. Doesn't change it if it's below. Now, let's go on to the next one. Rounding off the next 2 decimal places. Now we want 2 numbers after the comma. We want 2 numbers after the comma. Then it is 8,99. Then when it's 5 here, it's going to change this one to 10. Then 10 is going to change this one to 10. And 10 is going to change also this one to 9. So it's going to be 9,00. Why are we saying 00? Because we want 2 digits after the comma. Then we move on to this one here. We look at the third number. When you look at 2 decimal, we look at the third number of the comma. We see that it's about 5. That's going to change this one to 6. It's going to add 1 there. 149,36. Okay. Then we move on to the next one. It's saying 9,998. We add again. We see that we look at this third number here, third digit, and we see that it's below 5. So it won't change our number there. So it's going to be 9,98 because we want 2 digits after the comma. Then we look here again, we say, all right, we want 2 digits after the comma, but we see that the third number here is about 5. So what must we do before we get rid of it? It can change 8. Now it's going to be 900. So you see that everything remains 9001,39. Okay. Then again here, we are going to have 9 here, and 9 is going to change to 9, add 1 to 9. it's going to be 10. When it's 10, you can write 10 after the comma. We add 1 again. When it's going to be 10 again. When it's 10 again, we add another 1 here. Then it's going to be giving you what? 5. So it's going to be 40035, comma 00, because we are left with the zeros here. We are not having any number there. Now, again here, let's have, what is it? 663. Then it's going to be 663 and comma. Then we have got, look at the third number because we want 2 numbers of the comma, 2 numbers, we have them. So let's look at the next number. 9 is above 5. So what must it do? It will change that number to 9. That's what we're having here. Then the 3 decimal places, I'm going to be quick here. I think now you guys understand what we're talking about. Now, 3 decimal places, we want 3 numbers. So if we have 3 numbers, we look at the 4th number. Then we see that the 4th number is above 5. Then it's going to add 1 to 8. So it's going to be 49,359. Okay, then that's our answer. Then this one here, because the 4th number here is above 5, so it's going to add 1 here. So it's going to be, remember, it's going to be 10 here, 10 here, 10, and also here 10. It's going to be 10,000, because remember we want 3 digits after the comma. Then again, this last one, we want 3 numbers of the comma. Then we look at what? We look at 4. And 4, we see that 4 is not below what you call it's below 5, so it's going to remain the same. 14,381. Okay. I hope you guys understand this concept of what we call rounding off here. Okay. Now let's move on to rounding off to the nearest 5 rand. To the nearest 5 rand. Now, when you're rounding off the nearest 5 rand, you are looking at this number here. And when you are saying 5 rand, we are saying all the numbers between 1. So from 0, we started from 0 there. We move on to what? To what is it? To 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now we are saying all the numbers from here, from 3 to 7. From 3 to 7, we round them off to 5. So they all come to 5. But any number between from 8 going up, 8 and 9, it has to go to the next value. And this one, if it is 2 and below, it's going to go to 0. So we're going to be left with nothing there. So I want you to understand this part here. So when you're looking at 5 rand, this is 21 rand, and 1 is below what? 3. So what are we going to have here? We're going to have 20 rand. It's going to be 20 rand because we are rounding off to the nearest 5 rand. So it's going to be 20 rand because 1 rand is going to bring us back to what you call, it's more like we don't have it. That's what we're saying here. So we only have 20 rand. Now, then we move on to this one here is 27, and the 7 again, 7, we round it off down to 5. So it's close to 5. So what are we going to do here? We look at this number here. Here we look at this number here because rounding off to 5 rand, then it's going to be equal to, what is it? 25 rand. So it's 25 rand because we round down here because of 7. We remember we're not rounding up to 10, we're rounding up to 5. Then here we've got 24, and the 24, what we have here is that we are saying 24 is actually close to 5, so you're going to round it closely to 5. So it's going to be 25 rand. We look at 4 and the 4 that is close to 5, there's going to be 25 rand. Then here we have got what? 28, and 28 now, because 28 is close to what is it? To the next digits, we should be what? 30. So here we will have 30 rand because remember it's either we are saying 0, 5 or 10. That's what we have here. 0, 5 or 10. Now what is our 10 here is going to be 30 rand. That's what we're saying. So when you have got 28 rand, we actually have got 30 rand. That's what we're simply saying here. So when you're rounding off, the importance of rounding off is for you to know that if someone, if you see a dress in Ackermans, it's costing 299 or 289. When someone asks you how much is the dress, you simply have to say it's 300. You're rounding off. That's what you're simply doing. You're not giving us the exact value of the price, but you know that if you have got 300 rand, you will actually be able to purchase the dress. But also another thing again, if something is costing, what is it? If it's costing 110 rand, 110 rand or 120 rand, you won't say it's cost 200 rand. You just say, no, man, if you have 100 rand, remember you can actually buy it, because you will see that 20 rand is close to is close to 100 rand. So we know that in your purse, you can actually have that what called 20 rand as loose, or maybe coins. Okay, so we are saying that's how important your rounding off is. Remember, we say methodology is close to your reality. Now let's have rounding off to the nearest 10. Rounding off to the nearest 10, we are looking at this number here. So this one is 5 and above. So when you have got this, is what is going to give us 16. Then rounding off the nearest 10, we look at the last digit. Last digit is above what? Is above, what is it? Is above 5. So it's going to be equal to 280. 77 is going to go to 280. Then here, if it is rounding off to the nearest 10, we look at 31 and see what 1 is below 5. So this is going to take us down to 30. Okay, then if it is 4,353, we look at this last one here, and it's at 53 here. We won't go to 50 to 60. We'll actually go back to 50. So we're gonna be 4,350 because of the 3, which is below 5. Okay, then rounding off to the next 100. Now, rounding off to the next 100, you are looking at what you are basing with here. You are basing with from 0, 5 to 10. So we are saying any number 5, we go to that number. Then if it is 4 and below, we go to 0. So 4 and 0, 4, if it's 4 and below, we go to 0. Again, here we are using 0, 50, and 50 to 100. So if anything is 49 and above and below, 49 and below, we go back to 0. Then if it is 50 and above, we round up to 100. So we are saying 40, if something is 40, rounding off, then it's 100. This actually, we have got 0 there. We have nothing, isn't it? Then if it is rounding off to the nearest 100, yeah, this is actually 100. Then if it is rounding off to the nearest 100, we're looking at 23. So you're looking at 2 digits. So if it is 100, it's 2 digits. 10 is 1 digit, last 1 digit. Last 2 digits, we're going to say is going to be 900, because the 23 is close to nothing. It's close to like you don't have anything. Okay, so let's say, what is it? So this type of questions is more like if you have 923, then you want 1,000. Hey, you need to go and look for this money, because no one is going to say if it is 970 or 980. It's better, you can actually help you and say, all right, now here is the 20 rand to edit what you call to 1,000. Or if you're negotiating a price, you can't go with 900, what is it? Something that costs 1,000. Sometimes they won't accept, what is it? 923. But if you have 950, they will say, no, 50 rand is better. Or if you have 970, they will say, no, it's fine. We can negotiate, we can take it with that money. But when you're saying rounding off here, that's what actually simply in real life, what we mean. Now here, 950 is actually close to what you call 50. It's actually next 100, which is, it will be 900. So if you add 100 here, you're going to be 800, 900 here. It's going to be 82,900. That's what we're simply saying here. Then rounding off the rest 1,000. Here we're looking at the 3 digits. Again, 3 digits. So if we are looking for someone for 1,000 rand, if you're looking for so, and you see that you've got 345, you will simply give up. Because if you see something that costs 1,000 and you've got 345, what you simply do, you simply go home, because the thing is you don't have enough money, simple like that. But so you won't negotiate. So we are simply saying you've got 0 here. Then if you've got 734, now you can sit down and say, you know what, my man, let's talk, man. I've got 734 here. Then maybe you can actually understand each other and negotiate. So we are saying you actually simply have 1,000. So you can simply purchase something for 1,000 with this money. So you can see what you're talking about here when you're rounding off. Rounding off, we are simply saying, okay, it's above 500. So it's going to be 0, 500 to 1,000. So it's either you have got 1,000 or you have a 0. Simple like that. You have 1,000 or you have a 0. If it is rounding off to the next 100, if you have a 0 or you have 100 rand, that's what it is. Now here we are going to say, all right, 9,179. Could we say this person is close to 10,000? No, it's not close to 10,000. It's close to 9,000. Simply say, I have got 9,000 here, my brother. Then you've got, we accept you like that. So it's going to be 9,000 here, because 179 is below 500. 179 is below 500. 345 is below 500, 734 is above 500, is close to 1,000. Then we are looking at here and we see that no, this one 613 is actually close to what 1,000, so it's above 500. We're going to be actually 81,000 is going to be 63,000. Then here when we put 123,000, what called 621, this again is going to be 124,000. Okay, that's what we're simply saying here. Then here, let's move on to this one, 3,789. The 789, we look at the last three digits. Remember, last three digits is above 500. It's going to be 4,000. Then here, we have got 300 here, 338. This is what we look at. Is going to be 41,000. You don't have an extra 1,000 there because the 338 is below 500. That's how we look at it. Okay. Then let's look at our last page here and see what we have. There are certain situations where you are supposed to round up. Then some situations you are forced to round down. Now let's give an example here. You are given the number of boxes of tiles needed if a box if one box covers 20.5 square meters and the area of the to be covered is 65 square meters. Now we are saying how many boxes would you can fit there. Now what we are saying here, number of boxes of tiles needed, that's what we want. Number of boxes of tiles needed. If one box covers 20.5 square meters and the area to be covered is 65 square meters. So what you do, you say you take your area, the whole area that you're dealing with, which is 65 square meters, and you divide with what 20.5 square meters. Then what you get there is 3.15. But now this 3.15, according to our round off, remember these boxes, they are sold as full boxes. So you can't have 3 something. Okay, you can't be some tiles can be taken out. So you need to buy full boxes. So it's either with 3 or with 4 boxes. But according to our round off, if you round off to the whole number here, you actually see that normally we actually look at 1 and say 1 is below 5 and we will get back to 3, but which is correct, which is wrong. Which is wrong, because rounding off properly, you will actually get 3, but we are saying this is wrong. So what must we do? We must round up. What do we mean by rounding up? Because when we see that when you have got 3 boxes, it means that we have got that small portion that you will need even 1 tile. You understand? Even if there are 10 tiles inside, you're going to use 1 tile out of that box because we need that tile. We can't finish the area without that tile. So we need that tile. So it means that we are forced to buy 4 boxes. So this is what we're going to have. So this is wrong. So you need 4 tiles. But according to rounding off to the whole numbers, what I have taught you before there, you need to go to 3. But in this situation, because of the situation, you can't round down. You always have to round up, because you need to cover that small area that need even a piece of a tile. But where we're going to get a piece of a tile, we're going to get it from a full box. That's why we're going to buy extra box. Now, what about another situation again? Number of 5-liter containers of paint needed if one 5-liter container covers 3 square meters and the area to be covered is 32 square meters. Now, number of 5-liter containers is going to be 32, the whole area that we need, divided by 1, the area covered by 1 5-liter container. What we get there, we will say, okay, 32 divided by 3, we get 10.6. Sorry, is it 32 divided by 3? Okay, 30, 10, what is it? 6, 7, 5-liter containers. But now this 10.67 again, remember guys, we need this 0.7. We need that. Even if you're going to use from that 5-liter, we're going to use 2 liter, it's fine. We need that extra. So we're going to say we need 11 5-liter container. So here you are forced to round up. You are forced to what? To round up. Now, let's move on to the next question where you are forced to round down. Now, number of learners a classroom can accommodate if the class is 17 square meters and each learner occupies what? needs 2.5 square meters. So in this case here, we are saying one learner occupies 2.5 square meters, but the whole area, the whole room is 17 square meters. So what must we do now? We must divide the total area divided by what number of what call where the learner what call area of one learner. So 17 divided by 2.5. What do we get? We get 6.8. But 6.8, because remember we said number of people, it can't be a decimal. It has to be a whole number. So, but if rounding off accordingly, according to what we have done, we need to round off this to what? We need to round off to this to what? To 7 learners. But is it correct? No, it's not correct, because the last learner doesn't have enough space, because we want the one learner to have 2.5. Last learner won't have enough space. So what must we do now? We must round down. We must round down to 6 learners. Because we are saying extra learner, the last learner won't have enough space. It won't have be 2.5 square meters. That's what this comma means. Okay, so we are saying you are forced to round down, even if the situation, according to rounding, we know that rounding off, you know that you're supposed to round it up here to 7, but it's in the situation that we have, it's not allowing us to do that. That's what we're saying. Also, these questions, you must relate to scenario. Whatever scenario that you're given in method interest, you relate to the scenario. Okay, so it's not always correct what we tell you, like rounding off, when you're rounding off, you round off to 7 here when you're doing the correct rounding off, but because of the situation, you're supposed to round down because of the situation, because the last learner won't have enough space. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much.